Michael Jackson is known as the king of pop and is loved by many. But what dark truths does he hide? What went wrong with the most famous artist in the world that caused so much trouble? Let's take a look beneath the surface of Michael Jackson's fame, wealth, and scandal to find the shocking facts that he took with him to the grave. Are you ready for the stories that haven't been told that could change the way you see him forever? There is no doubt that the adage that you should never meet your heroes is absolutely correct. When they were not even teenagers, James Safechuck and Wade Robson were subjected to sexual abuse and brainwashing by their idol, Michael Jackson. This is the fact, at least in the case of the younger versions of these two individuals. The American singer, songwriter, and dancer known as the King of Pop rose to prominence in the 1990s because to his unique dancing techniques and songs. He later became known as the King of Pop. In addition to having a number of successful songs, such as Beat It, Billie Jean, and Thriller, which are still popular among young people in the present day, he is considered to be one of the most iconic and legendary musicians in the history of music. In 1980, when the media started to investigate his change in appearance, behavior, and lifestyle, this well-known individual, who was born in 1958, found himself in the public eye. During the 1990s, he was accused of sexually abusing a kid, and the claims against him have continued ever since till the present day. Assertions made against Michael Jackson. A documentary film about Michael Jackson was published in 2019 under the title Leaving Neverland, Michael Jackson and Me. The film depicted the harrowing details of the singer's interactions with Safechuck and Robson, who were 7 and 14 years old at the time of their sexual assaults. Every aspect of Michael Jackson's life was anything from a suspenseful story. To trick the children into believing that nothing was wrong, he would influence them. The smooth criminal wrote songs with the intention of healing the world, but he failed to look at himself in the mirror on the way to writing those songs. Even for a little boy of 7 years old who looked up to Michael Jackson, the singer and abuser was unquestionably a dangerous individual. A neighborhood competition in which children would emulate Jackson was the occasion on which Robson was first introduced to Jackson. Robson was able to capture Jackson's attention, and after that, he went on to accompany him on a number of tours. The only two victims who have spoken out about the abuse are Robson and Safechuck. They have alleged that Jackson instructed the boys to clothe themselves as quickly as possible so that no one would suspect anything improper in the event that they were discovered in the room. Some of his detractors were of the belief that Jackson had constructed a separate child room in which he would take his victims. On the other hand, his security recently revealed that the room in question was a panic room that had been constructed before to Jackson's entrance into the house. The corridor that led to Jackson's bedroom was a stringent security zone that was completely covered by video surveillance and wired for sound across the entire area. When he heard the loud ding-dong or bell-like sound of footsteps approaching his chamber, he would know that someone was getting closer. According to James Safechuck, Michael Jackson married him on one occasion in the hotel room with vows and a ring that would permanently bind them together. In exchange for the sexual favors, he would provide Safechuck with a few rings in order to convince him of the spiritual nature of their relationship. Jackson explained to the four young men that they were destined to be together and that God had brought them together before. However, they had a secret code that consisted of scratching the palm of the other person in order to communicate to them that they were having sexual thoughts about them. They were instructed to avoid holding hands in public. He came dangerously close to being caught with Safechuck on one occasion while they were in a movie theater room that was specifically meant for youngsters with immune deficiencies. The mother of the latter came dangerously close to entering the room, but it was locked. She noticed that the two were sleeping on the bed, but because they were dressed in their full attire, she did not give it any further thought. Jordan Chandler, Jason Francia, and Gavin Arvizo are three further boys that were molested by Jackson. Their claims were settled with a significant amount of money, which is the reason why they have maintained a low profile with the media. Michael Jackson was so passionate about his love for children that he even gave each of his victims a nickname that he called with affection. Robson was referred to as Little One, Chandler and Arvizo were referred to as Rubba, and Safechuck was referred to as Applehead. Jackson was afflicted with vitiligo, a condition that causes discoloration of the skin. Chandler had drew a picture using the markings that were found on the bottom of Jackson's penis, and then carefully sealed the package containing the artwork. Following the conclusion of the investigation, which took place a few months later, the same marks that Chandler had drawn were discovered on Jackson's genitalia. During the year 2019, investigators discovered a bag under his bed that contained a collection of pornographic literature, as well as bondage pictures of young boys. The fingerprints of Jackson and a few other boys were found on the identical pages of photographs and magazines that were found there simultaneously. The ranch that Jackson purchased in Neverland was purchased so that he could engage in sexual acts there, because there were numerous private areas there. The crew at Neverland confirmed that women, including his two spouses, were never seen at the ranch, even when they were married. This was the case even when they were married. According to Jackson, in exchange for the favor, he presented the mothers of his victims with lavish gifts. The Safechucks were presented with a house, Robson's mother was presented with a permanent resident visa, and Chandler's mother was presented with a diamond bracelet. However, the mothers continued to be unaware of the predicament that their young children were in. His fans have remained faithful to him and have supported him throughout his entire life, despite the fact that the king of pop has had a reputation for being involved in a number of problematic situations in the past. In spite of the fact that his activities are unacceptable, it is essential for people all around the world to differentiate between art and the artist in the present day. Michael Jackson said that the singer may have accidentally overdosed on drugs while attempting to make himself too unwell to fulfill the contract, since he was so upset over having to perform 50 concerts in London rather than the 10 he had intended to do. Michael Jackson was a very astute and clever negotiator for an artist. He was among the first musicians from the dark side of Hollywood to keep the publishing rights and masters to his songs, something Paul McCartney really encouraged him to do. Taking the advice so seriously, MJ went so far as to buy the rights to half of the Sony music collection, which includes all of the Beatles' songs. This astuteness undoubtedly developed from Michael Jackson's enormous 45-year career experience, as well as his early negotiation failures. However, Michael didn't necessarily love bargaining just because he was skilled at it. The majority of artists don't. Although becoming wealthy is often a part of the dream many artists have of moving to Hollywood, the fine print and specifics needed to truly achieve financial success are rarely included. Most artists simply want to be recognized for their work and have the opportunity to pursue their passions for a living. They hope that since they have witnessed others receive money, they will also receive it, although that is normally handled by someone else. That someone else also becomes wealthy, extremely wealthy. Furthermore, regardless of the identity of the artist, that someone else is typically far more powerful than the artist. This is Hollywood's shadowy side. Upon arriving here, every artist is met by this. The artist will undoubtedly confront this dark side, whether he succumbs to it. The artist who creates most freely from his own volition will eventually find himself compelled to do something against his will because it affects the commercial viability of his exhibition. People in business don't truly get what it takes to make art. They have researched a variety of guidelines, equations, legalese, educated estimates, and utilized gut feelings to ascertain what they think or occasionally know will generate revenue. Therefore, as an artist, you will face the dark side if your lyrics, story, jokes, self-expression, movie ending, energy level, friends, family, desire to try something different, vision, look, new wardrobe, etc. don't align with their schedule, market testing, product lineup, distribution policy, Asian market strategy, image consultation or calendar, etc. In the worst situations, that evil side has the power to kill you in addition to your art. Intrigued by the untold stories behind music legends? Subscribe now for more deep dives into the hidden truths of your favorite icons.